Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies. Grab your favorite bevy, pull up a chair, and enjoy the ride. Hey, B&B fam. This podcast is sponsored to you by BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. Is there something getting in the way of your happiness? I know when I traveled the world, I had many days where BetterHelp's worldwide service of licensed professional therapists could have helped me speak to someone no matter where I was in the world about whatever was happening with my life, and with zero judgment. With their ability to match me with a therapist that best fits me, I know my mental health would have been way better back then. Believe me, I needed it. But I'm here to share a way for you to take back control of your mental health by telling you about BetterHelp's awesome services they have for you to talk with a pro about your life through their app or just online. Whether it is a video session or some simple messaging, their team is here to help. I went to check out the app for myself just to see how easy it was to use, and after a series of questions, I was told I would be able to start matching with a therapist in under 48 hours. And what is super rad is that it's affordable and they even offer financial aid too. So come join the 2 million users that have already been helped and gain back control of your mental health by visiting betterhelp.com/backyards for 10% off your first month. Remember, BetterHelp is therapy done securely online. Don't forget to use the special code BACKYARDS and let BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, help you to start living a happier life today. And we're live.
Hooray!
Yay! Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies,
Hi.
your midweek treat. This week we are doing a little backyard early morning one because we're recording 2 today. So
Yeah.
we're knocking this one out in the morning, and then we'll have another guest on later today. And it's a nice morning, though.
Yeah.
Sipping on water, a monster. You have
Water.
a giant water flask.
Giant water.
Yeah, today was like a water day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Need to hydrate.
Yeah, it's been a weird week. I
Mhm.
mean, I just, first
Stressful
off,
week.
well, it's stressful because I created stress in my own life, for me at least. We adopted a dog, and
We did.
That's
We're
a-
insane.
giant responsibility, and,
Yeah.
he is a puppy, but he looks like a full-grown dog already.
Yeah, he's a
So-
4-month-old, 35-pound puppy. So
Yeah.
when he is rambunctious, it's very intense.
Yeah, and I thought I was ready. I mean, I'm not hating the decision, but I thought I was more prepared, put it to you that way.
Well, I mean, I think what we didn't. I mean, we went to the humane shelter to adopt a puppy, but that puppy had already been taken, and then we
Yeah.
were like, well, let's look at the other dogs. You know,
Yeah.
we want to give somebody a home if we can, and Goose was very tame and calm while we were at the shelter. He totally tricked us,
They totally tricked him.
but he had been out on the streets for 4 months.
Never
so
had a
he's got
home, yeah.
4 months of terrible habits
Yeah.
that we have to break and work on. You know, he's never had a real home.
He
so-
doesn't bark, though.
No,
So I'm like,
no. But week 1 was definitely
week 1 and
a
some
difficult
change.
week. Yeah.
And it was interesting to me because I felt like I was failing at first. I felt like I was like, oh, I'm just not being a good dog parent. I'm being overly concerned about things that were just, he's a puppy. And I was putting
Yeah.
myself in a stressful situation. Then I would get overstressed, and then I would stress. And then, it was a combination of things that I could have controlled. But what was funny was every morning I would wake up fine. I would start my routine because since the new year we've had some goals, and I've been writing down weekly, monthly, and then I have some yearly goals that we're knocking out. And I'm succeeding on some of them.
Yeah.
Like I think I've lost somewhere around 12 pounds now.
Yeah, maybe even more.
I think a solid 12. Well, just 10 to 12 right in there. So I'm doing good on that goal. Like I'm still doing all the other things that I've set myself up to accomplish. Like I work on the podcast, I work on the
Your other
project. Yeah, like I'm eating better.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head at the very beginning of this statement. You know, you had a routine.
Yeah.
And that I think was the biggest stress creator was that we were in a good routine.
Yeah.
With our little boy and our 3 cats and me going to work and you getting everything done with the podcast and everything around here. There was a great structure. And then we introduced this puppy and their routine completely went out the window.
Completely.
So that in its own right is going to create quite a bit of stress, even if he was the most well-behaved dog that ever lived.
Yeah, there just comes a lot, it's like a baby. There comes a lot to making sure that little guy is taken care of.
Yeah.
And I found myself being overly, strict, trying to demand things that he doesn't know yet.
Yeah,
I
he
have
doesn't
to teach,
understand.
I have to teach him that. And that was hard for me every night going to bed because I knew that. Like, things. Like, we're not... To say that I was being... just I was doing it randomly just to do it. I knew better when I was like, like telling him no, or like scolding him for pooping in the house. It's like, yeah, but there's a better way to do it. Right. And each night I would go to sleep for the past week beating myself up, and then until yesterday was a good day. I woke up and I said, what have I been doing for the last few months that I can recalibrate my brain, recalibrate myself, take a deep breath, and just exhale. I think that during the day, I find myself on social media so much that sometimes I can get lost in there, or, like I can just get too wrapped up in work and baby, and then all of a sudden now dog. Yeah. And so in the mornings, though, that's like my alone time.
Right.
Like, that is no one else gets up at 4 a.m.
Right.
It's me, the cats, and now the dog.
Yes.
And that's when I truly use that time to try to put myself into positive mindsets in the morning, try to do my working out, then I row. And lately I've been listening to other podcasts again, just because I now have that extra time in the morning because I'm waking up early. And it's helping me. Friday really helped me. So I had to take a big breath and I had to look at how blessed we are as people to have a roof and have a house and food, and now we can help this puppy. And
we got to save a life, which was awesome.
Yeah, so there was too many positives for me to continue slowly letting my day fall apart.
Right.
But
it's all about perspective.
Yeah. So in that, though, Friday, what I found myself doing was going to some of my favorite, I guess you could say, I call them websites. I don't know why,
they're
but they're
not websites.
They're people's
Instagram accounts.
Yeah. I always call them like websites for some reason. But I found myself going to some of those positive ones that I've been following lately that make me either smile or laugh or cry or whatever. And so we were talking about it the other day, and I was like, you know what? I think it'd be fun to share some of my and your favorite places to go and potentially like if you're having a bad day or if you're having something that's going wrong, there's so many other stories out there that can lift you up or
get a good dose of serotonin.
Show you perspective too. I mean, I think sometimes like that, for me, that's the biggest one is like, oh, no, I do have it really good.
Yeah. 100%.
But let's go backwards. I'm going to start at my number 5.
Okay.
And I think we share this account
we
the
do,
same.
Yeah.
SnoopDogg.
Oh, love it. His account is so positive and so funny. You're guaranteed to either laugh or get like at least a good smile out of whatever it is he's posting. Yeah. Like 98% of the time.
Yeah, and it's so random because he can go from like super hood one post to then like posting about how awesome his mom is. And to me, it's just, he really is. Well, for one, he's a busy guy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, incredible businessman.
So for him to be smiley and jolly and try to like have fun every day, even in some turmoil or even when times can be a little rough, it goes to show you that what he's doing is he's trying to boost the people around him. And I think that that's a really cool thing when I look at his side. It's like, sure, there was some ratchet gangster stuff going on in one thing, but then here's him, coaching a little league football game. You're like, gosh, like, could you rewind to 1992? I would have never pictured Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, he's for sure turned into a little bit of a different person, being a father. And I believe, doesn't he also like preach, or maybe not preach, but he's like,
I mean, he's involved.
Become involved in his religion and stuff like that. He's awesome. I find him so inspirational.
Yeah.
And what he's doing also with like NFTs and stuff. I don't know if you saw this, but he has reacquired Death Row Records. Like Suge Knight is no longer a part of that anymore.
Suge Knight.
Suge? Is it spelled Suge? S-U-G-E?
Either
way.
I've never heard anyone say
I have no idea. Merp, merp. Suge Knight. Now I feel like I need to look it up.
It is Suge.
Well, anyways, he's in prison and is no longer a part of Death Row Records. And Snoop has acquired the majority of those records. Not all of them. Like some of Dr. Dre's stuff is not a part of it. However, like some of the most popular albums that have ever been made in hip hop are part of it. He removed all of those albums from streaming.
Wow.
All of them, including The Chronic.
Wow.
And he's only going to make them available as of now via the metaverse. Which is wild.
It's so wild.
Yeah.
That's the thing though, is that, and I've had this conversation with people, and I know that so many people are getting into NFTs and into this metaverse, and we've even talked about it. It's going to happen slow. Like right now it's moving at a pace that is probably faster than most people could tell, or most people even know, but at one point, it's going to be like Facebook was. You'd hear about it. You'd hear people talk about it. Then next thing you know, everybody had a Facebook. And I think that's the way the metaverse will be. And these first few people that are on there are truly trying to create a place where people can go and do things that are different, for one. Because let's be real. Apple's had the game for a while with music playing and streaming, and then Spotify's come in, and there's been Pandora's. There's multiple places, but now that so many people spend some time in like their house for so long, and they've created these worlds, and now people live in these worlds a little more than they did a few years ago. So what a better place than to create a world where you can still interact and do things and buy things and listen to music and go to concerts. And
for sure, it's pretty impressive.
Eventually it'll change.
Eventually. I'm glad he is still doing in-person concerts though, because he's great live.
Oh my gosh.
He just played Bridgestone a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he is definitely someone that I've never seen him live, but I've only heard amazing stories from friends who have worked for him, and then
it's such a party. It's awesome. So awesome. Just a dance party the whole time. Get really high and dance around and just love the music.
It's a hot box, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he doesn't do outside shows because then all the smoke goes away.
I don't know. I'm sure he does some festivals or something at some point. But
I was being I was playing around, but I mean, that would be funny if that was on his rider. He's like, I only do shows
only indoor shows.
Cut the AC, no ventilation. We're hotboxing this thing.
I am bummed that we missed the Bridgestone show because Ice Cube was one of the opening acts, which it would have been really awesome to see the two of them together.
Well, see, I listened to his Joe Rogan pod. It's like 4 hours of him and Joe Rogan just going back and forth, and it's hysterical. They're high, they're laughing, they're telling stories. But the one thing that Snoop is doing is he's being a pioneer again. You know, he's taking his art, which I think the coolest thing about an artist or anybody that's creative is that you have that ability to say, well, this is mine, and this is how I want to present it to you. And that just gives people different options. You don't have to fall into, oh, I'm only going to use this player, or I'm only going to do this. It just gives you options. And I think that, I don't know, I think that he's a really positive person.
I do too.
So I'm going to say SnoopDogg is definitely at the top of my list when it comes to somewhere where I can go because he posts like 17 things a day.
He does.
I mean, he's like, sometimes
so
his story is like 4 hours long that you just have to like skip through it. But when you do land on something that is cheerful or sad, it'll help you in that day. So I'm gonna say SnoopDogg's my number 5.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think we have all of the exact same accounts written down, so we're just gonna be talking about the same things. But yeah, that's a great one.
It's and I used to follow a lot of people. I used to follow like news. I used to follow political figures. I used to follow things that I thought mattered in my day. A lot of times it just takes up space. I still follow places where I can read about that stuff, but I do it at such a smaller place because it doesn't affect me daily.
Yeah.
Like, Snoop doesn't affect me daily, but he definitely can help boost my mood.
For sure. For sure.
And it's really hard to go to a news site and have your mood boosted.
Yeah. Absolutely. Especially right now. There's just so much.
Well, and there's just so much clickbait
sadness
too.
And stuff in the news.
That's my thing that I hate about going online is clickbait. Because people have even told or talked to me about like the show. They're like, oh, when you're doing this, you should do this or do that. So people click, and you watch these. I watch tutorials all the time, like how to boost views or how to boost this, and a lot of it is just you're weaseling people.
Yeah,
and that's what I don't like about a lot of the internet is that it's a weaselly place if you want it to be. I'd
rather our podcast stay small and real than lure people in with drama that's not actually a part of the show or whatever.
And I have 2 accounts. So we have the Backyards and Bevvies account, and then we have my personal account. And they have, I think I follow 2 similar people on each account, or maybe 3. But I leave it separate because like I'm usually on Backyards and Bevvies more because I'm just posting on there and answering stuff and replying to people. So there I have definitely a more positive vibe in there because that's where my time is spent.
Yeah.
But on my other side, obviously I follow friends and family and all different types. So so this is a very specific category just to our moods, like how to boost your mood. So my number 4, who would you say?
The Dodo is a great one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all
kitty videos,
animal posts, but it's all really, most of them are like very inspirational stories where, somebody like pulls over on the side of the road and they see this like owl that's been hit by a car and they rescue it and rehabilitate it and then set it back free, or somebody finds like a litter of kittens tied up in a trash bag about to go out in the trash and save them all. I mean, it's just really, really cool to see good people doing good things to help the animals of the world.
Yeah.
And it just brings me a lot of joy because I love animals.
Well, that's why
you learn a lot about all different kinds of animals too. I mean, you name it, they've probably had at least one video about that type of animal.
For sure. Well, I mean, that's why we have a dog now.
It is.
And that's why he's running around behind.
Currently digging a hole in the yard.
Running around behind us.
Yeah. Literally digging a hole right now. Living his best life.
Awesome.
That's great.
Great. Yeah, I mean the Dodo. The thing that I love about the Dodo is the animal part.
Yeah.
It really does hit you sometimes, and God, like I can't look at it all the time because sometimes it just is like, okay, tears.
Sometimes
too many tears.
So sad. I mean, they always end on like a somewhat positive note, but some of the things these animals go through is just horrific.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we always like pray about at night is little children and animals because they're just so most of the time defenseless.
Yeah,
or they are
easily
defenseless.
Preyed upon. By
now there's a difference between wild animals just getting eaten because they're wild and that's just nature. Like you can't like be like, oh, a bear ate a deer. That's so sad because that's just nature. Right.
But this is about like humans causing issues for these animals and then these animals are rescued by good humans.
So that there's a big difference in that because like I get when a wolf eats, a cow out in the middle of the freaking forest because it's hungry.
Right.
I don't get when someone drops a box of kittens off on the side of the road.
Right.
Like, that hurts my heart.
100%.
But the stories on the Dodo always, here's this random stranger that would just happen to be running on the one road that they never run on, and they find it, and boom, next thing you know,
it's amazing.
the cat's giving a back massage to their baby, and
it's so cute. I saw that video.
Sometimes their videos are too long where I'm like, I have to fast forward because they're like,
get to the point.
I'm like, okay, this is 14 minutes of me crying. I can't do any more crying.
That's true. That's very true.
But it is a very, very positive, very, very positive account. There's a million of those good accounts. So, if you ever see another good account, obviously send it to us. But these are ones that definitely you and me share between each other.
We send each other things from these accounts all day.
The time. But we also send it to friends, and we try to we try to spread the love.
Yeah. For sure.
There's one guy I'm going to go to lunch with actually before I record the other thing, and it's his birthday soon.
Mm-hmm.
And when we first met, I can say that he honestly was in a little bit darker of a spot too.
Right.
And one of the talks we always had was, part of getting out of that dark spot is changing your mentality and changing what you view and changing what you read and how you intake that stuff. Because lo and behold, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm no doctor, but if I only look at bad images all day, I'm gonna.
If you're surrounded by negativity, it's not really hard to stay positive. It definitely takes a mental toll.
It does, and I think that's one of those reasons why the Dodo definitely plays into that, tugs on the heartstrings, gets you to be a little more compassionate at times.
For sure.
All right, the Dodo.
The Dodo, yeah.
Such a funny. What cracks me up is some of these sites have the funniest, names. You're like, where did they come up with that?
Well, it is funny, that name especially, because that's an extinct bird. But the account's all about rescuing animals, so I don't know.
Well, maybe that's what they're doing, is they're saying, if we
keep these animals from going extinct.
If we were around back then, we would have saved the Dodo.
Maybe.
When was it? What year was the Dodo?
Dinosaur era.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Oh. Dang bird.
Yeah. You can see it in the movie Ice Age.
Didn't the Flintstones used to eat the Dodo eggs? Flintstones.
I don't know, maybe.
All right, next one. Over.
Dying.
I don't think I've ever pronounced it correctly.
Apparently not, because
how do you say
in the episode that we talked about the Flintstones, and I corrected you, you were like, I'm never going to say it wrong again.
I did. I clearly just did.
I'm crying. I actually wore makeup today. Now it's all going to come off.
Good.
Oh, my goodness.
Good.
Okay.
Well, how do you say both?
Both?
I say both. Sometimes I'm like both. Booth.
Booth?
Both.
No, you're not Canadian.
Both. But I put an L in there sometimes.
Yeah, you
both.
Do.
Both.
No.
I don't know why.
Both.
Have you ever
now it sounds weird saying it in general. When you say a word over and over and over again, it's like, wait.
Yeah.
Like when you spell it sometimes, and you're like, am I spelling that right?
Every leprechaun. That is my...
Leprechaun.
You better hope that's right.
It is.
No, I'm going to post that. I'm going to let everyone just... Oh,
it's
now
right.
you think, okay.
I just redid it in my mind.
Yeah, what...
I think it's right. Now I don't know.
Gotcha. Rendezvous was another one that got me one time.
That's a good one.
I was looking at a sign and maybe it was Rendezvous Barbecue in Memphis.
Right. Yeah, Leprechaun, I was right.
Yeah, whatever. And I was like,
you need me to spell rendezvous for you?
I was like, rondivorous.
What?
Or I looked at it and I was like, what in the world is that? And someone was like, rendezvous? I was like,
you're like, yeah, that's what I said, right?
Whoa. How did you get that from that? But okay.
Rondivorous. Wow.
Or whatever I said that day, but it was definitely not rendezvous.
Definitely not.
All right. Number 3.
Okay. The next one that we have written down is Good News Dog.
Yeah. I love Good News
You'll have
Dog.
to tell me about that one. I don't follow that one.
Oh. Well, I follow it and I send you stuff from it all the time.
Okay.
It's similar to the Dodo and stuff like that.
But it's all dog focused?
No, they have other stuff on there, but I don't go on there as many. I just found it actually maybe I'd say a month ago.
Okay.
So it's a new account to me. From, I think, either our number one or obviously number one or number two, but from one of the accounts that I started following, I somehow stumbled upon them. And it's just very positive. It, like, they don't, here, I'm going to pull up one little thing real quick, because to me, when I look at it, yeah, I think dog, but at the same time, I'm like, oh no, they have like, stories of like, what am I thinking? I don't want to say the wrong term here, but like, like people that need help from like wheelchairs and stuff like that, handicapped people and stuff like that. They have like more stories than just about animals.
Disabled and differently abled.
Yeah.
I believe are the correct terms. Like,
for instance, one of the videos that I think you had originally sent me that someone else had posted was of the blind 17-year-old that shot the basket.
Oh my gosh, that video.
Yeah.
I teared up.
So that's what sorry.
Incredible video.
I had to pause because, yes, they have animal stuff and they do other things like that, but they do have a wide variety.
Gotcha.
And I think a lot of these positive websites share lots of the same videos.
Sure.
So you'll tend to see them across multiple platforms. But I feel like that one was one that, right now when I was bringing it up, I was like, wait, there's one that I've seen on multiple sites, and that was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
But that video was...
Oh, it was so cool.
Touching.
I mean, besides the fact that both teams took the time to allow this girl to... I mean, the whole arena went silent. They, like, banged on the hoop so that she could hear where the hoop was, so that she could shoot this foul shot. And, I mean, completely blind. And it goes in, and the entire arena just goes insane for this girl. Does not matter what team they're rooting for. You're just rooting for humanity in general. I mean, it makes me get teary-eyed just thinking about it. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
What an incredible moment for that girl. She will remember that for the rest of her life.
Yeah. And that's where that perspective comes in. It's like when we have the ability to look at a photo or go down the road and go relive something. Not everybody has that chance all the time, And I think that's why sometimes those websites to me are so much more important than what's happening in the freaking world or who slapped who or whatever's going on, because that's going to die off. Yeah. These people, their story in my heart will live on way longer because it'll remind me like, oh yeah, I remember that one time I saw a person with no legs be able to, ride a skateboard down a ramp or, like something that's just super touching like that. And yeah, that basketball moment was pretty cool. There was another one recently too, where there was a player who got injured. And I'm pretty sure like this was across like Barstool and ESPN and all those big ones because I think it was for an NCAA team, but they let him. Yeah,
the guy who had he had like a heart attack,
something like that. But they let him come back out and
it was like the very last game. So he was like their star player, and he collapsed on the court during a game. I believe it was his junior year of college, and this heart condition that he has, he can no longer play sports.
Yeah.
But they kept him on the team, and I think he was like an assistant manager or something like that, but he dressed for every game. And then the very last game of his senior year, he got to go in and do the tip-off.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's cool.
Yeah.
Things like that are really cool. Yeah. Especially having kids now, or kid.
Yeah, kid.
It's, you look at these things and you're like, man, I just hope that my kid can have the courage to give another kid that opportunity, or if they happen to be hurt, that they have that opportunity, because it is important. It's like, especially at a young age, those memories tend to stick with you forever. So, that's why if you're going to, surround yourself around bad things and bad people, then unfortunately, like, it's just the way of the world, and it's hard. It's rough out there, but if you could have some sunlight in a rough day, or like maybe that can help out another person, or you can spread the love a little bit better.
Well, just think about how you feel when you go out of your way to do something kind for another person, even if it inconveniences you in some way. That makes you feel better than you doing something nice for yourself.
100%.
Like, when I see that guy at the local McDonald's. It's the same guy every time. And anytime I see him, I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy an extra sandwich because he may not be hungry. He may have had 30 people buy him food already, but
he's had 40 McDonald's
I'm going to get him a hamburger or something like that and a drink so that he has something for dinner if he's already had breakfast and lunch.
Or he could pass it off
or he could give it to somebody else who needs
friend.
it or something. Yeah. But, and every time I do that, he always says to me, God bless you, thank you. And that makes me feel even better because it's like, okay, not only did I like get to help make his day, he's so grateful for it, and then says, God bless you.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, makes you feel good to do good things for people in need.
It is. There's something, too, about these websites that I think also is very nice. It's not the same person just videotaping themselves handing $1,000 to someone.
Right. But that is also cool.
It is cool. I think there's a little more something touching when you're watching it from an outside. Like, if you're watching something happen to someone that is in need, or is disabled, or a dog wins, or a three-legged dog, jumps over something for the first time, or a baby hears for the first time.
Oh my gosh, I just saw another one of those videos right before we started. And I was
those are hard,
waterworks.
Yeah. Those are the ones that touch me more because, to me, helping isn't something that I think is something you should gloat about.
Right. Agree.
Like, I'm not saying that I don't appreciate those people who turn around and, videotape themselves buying someone food or something. Like, good on you. But at the same time, you just do it as a good person without without someone patting you on the back. And I think that's, to me, that is helping me, as a person as well, because I am a needy, attention-seeking person.
Yeah.
So to see other people just give up their time just to give it up, it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That is a cool thing to do.
Definitely.
So, yeah, the Good News Dog.
Yeah.
Is a pretty awesome site. So go ahead and
that one out.
Go ahead and follow them. And by the way, none of these are any people that owe us anything or we owe them anything. Or
yeah, we're not tied to these accounts in any way. We just enjoy following them.
I just thought it would be really cool to talk about because I did have such a rough week, and I thought it would be important for people who, everybody struggles 1 week or 2 weeks or maybe a month, and this is just something for, hopefully, this is a pick me up for someone else.
For sure. We've got 2 accounts left.
Let's do it.
Gary V.
Oh,
and
my
that's
gosh.
GaryVee.
Gary V.
You're going to go follow him, which you should.
We've talked about this guy a lot. Mm-hmm. He is something else.
Yeah.
He's an immigrant who, in my opinion, could potentially be the most positive person on the internet.
So inspirational.
He
makes fun of himself, which is just, it makes you like him even more.
Well, that's, I think, that's the beauty behind it. It's like the more you can look at yourself and say, oh, I totally chooched that, or I messed that up and I had to rethink it, or yeah, like I posted a video and 2 people watched it for 10 years. And then finally, and that's his story though. He is the guy that has done pretty much been in front of the curve each time.
Right.
And that's what I think is so interesting about him, is because he is willing to put himself out there and potentially embarrass himself, potentially ruin his name, potentially do all these things that so many other people are like, no, dude, you're already at the top. Why? No, don't ruin this. Don't do that. And he's like, but I want to share this with people.
Right.
And I think that's the part that I like about him the most, is that
he's always looking to improve.
He's not trying to get you to buy his coaching lifestyle. He's like,
no, it's all free.
Well, you can go, obviously he writes books, so go buy his book. But he's like, he tells you stuff online all the time that I'm just like, whoa, that is just monumental, inspirational, like over the top. And it's always something positive.
For sure. And I think, another really cool thing about him is how welcoming and open he is to anybody that wants to talk to him.
Oh my gosh.
He's like walking down the street and somebody's like, oh my gosh, you're Gary V. Like, because of you, I now make $150,000 a year because you inspired me and I went and did this, that, or the other thing. Or he's had people come up to him and be like, hey man, I think you're really annoying, but I appreciate that you're positive. And he's like, all right, cool. Thanks for letting me know. I mean,
and he takes a photo with them.
Yeah. I just think he's really, really awesome. And actually, one of the clients that I work with, we've got a big project that's going to be launching with them later on this year. And we were having a Zoom call about it. And for the first time, we were going to be discussing the overall marketing plan for this thing with the media company that had been hired. And we didn't know who the media company was that had been hired. And as soon as the introductions started, they were like, oh, and this is the team from VaynerMedia. And I, inside, was like fangirling so hard. And immediately my thought was like, oh my gosh, is Gary Vee going to be on this call? Like, I will die if Gary Vee is on this. He was not, sadly. I'm still hoping that maybe he will be at some point. But it was really cool because his team, you know, it was some very, very high ups in his media company. Yeah. Were awesome.
Oh my God.
Just so put together, very positive, just as laid back as Gary Vee is. You know, there was no like pretense or anything like that. It was a very, very inspiring meeting, and they have just been crushing it so far. Yeah, so
I love to hear that.
It's really cool to see the trickle-down effect from Gary Vee to his employees at one of his many multi-million-dollar companies, and they are just as positive and inspirational and friendly as he is.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, like you said, it starts at the top, you know? It starts with people who... You surround yourself with people that want to win, for one.
Yeah.
And winning isn't just making $1 million. Winning is having a good job that you like coming to, or getting up every morning and going to the gym with someone, or just being not, I guess, to me, winning is just so many different things than just money or being number one. Because you could, like Ricky Bobby will say, you can't be, you know, what is it? If you're not first. Yeah. So number two, you're definitely not doing anything. But you can be right there. You can be right at the top and still be winning. And Gary Vee shows you that because his team is winning with him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. And I think that, to me, as we're building this brand, you know, we just brought on someone.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think that we just brought on someone.
Yeah.
And they're just as positive and stoked about what we're doing that it just... I know in my heart that what we're about to put out later on in the next year or so is going to be one of those things that it's going to be an accomplishment, for one, that I never thought I could ever do.
For sure.
For two, it's going to be something that we have someone now that potentially is on to be a team player for the rest of the career, you know? Yeah. And it's like we're helping create a cool brand that as we move forward, we look to people like Gary Vee. Yeah. And like you look at inspiration like that and you're like, okay, well, he's clearly sharing the wealth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's not just riding around in helicopters and driving Ferraris and talking about how rich he is.
No.
He's like, yeah, me and my team are over here designing this or building this and doing this. And it's that kind of camaraderie, I think, in the business environment that truly makes him stand out above so many others.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's probably why all of his companies are worth what they are. And that's why he's doing constantly guest speaking, you know, places. And I don't know. He's just a very inspirational person. It's hard for me not to look at his website at least 2 or 3 times a day.
His Instagram page.
I go to his YouTube.
Okay, that's not his website.
That is a website.
That is a website. That is not his website. It's very different. We'll work on your terminology.
When you put a slash behind it and then you add Gary Vee.
Yeah, okay.
His website.
Okay.
Okay, it's his shared website with YouTube.
Right, sure. Whatever you say.
Oh.
So
I'm going to say one more thing about Gary Vee.
Okay.
He is, to some people, he could probably sound pretty harsh, though, because he's so real. And that's another thing that I like about his business style is that when he tells it to you, he's like, yeah, that's not going to happen for at least another 10 years. Mm-hmm. But if you're willing to put it in the work, then you'll be fine. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't get as they come up in the world is the dose of reality that it's going to suck for a while.
Yeah.
And that's the other...
It takes work.
Yeah, and that's that perspective part that I was saying. It's like, yes, Gary Vee is super, super positive, and he's going to tell you that you're going to make it, but he's also going to throw in behind it that be ready.
Yeah, be ready.
Be ready for what's about to happen, because when you make it to the top, what do you think happens then? Well, you just ride it out.
There. Yeah.
You just ride it out.
No,
you just keep riding the wave.
Yeah.
You either keep hustling or you take your thing. And, like a lot of these guys, they look at, Elon and stuff like that. He's built multiple companies, not because they're all at the top, but because he's gotten to the top, and then it's time to, now it's time to go and venture into something different. Yeah. Because if he doesn't, then what is at the top he'll just crumble, and then he'll be at the bottom.
Well, or like going back to SnoopDogg. I mean,
SnoopDogg.
Talk about like a rags to riches story. I mean, he
was up for murder.
Yeah, he got tried for murder. He grew up in a very difficult area, in a very impoverished area, and he has stayed positive and continued to be inspirational to people, and has multiple different companies and does all these different things. And look at him now.
He's a great positive role model for not just the Black community, but for all communities.
Everybody.
Too. For all demographics, for everybody across the board, because it goes to show you too what forgiveness can do. Because
for sure,
no matter what, I wasn't there that night. I have no idea what happened, but he got tried for murder. And just imagine if everyone thought you were a murderer. The effect that could have on your brain, your heart, your everything. I mean, that can weigh on you.
It's like that, is he the CEO? Like one of the big heads of Nike.
Oh, yeah.
Was tried and convicted.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you're right. I've heard the name. I
know he talks about it in his book.
In his book, yes.
That he did murder someone. And then he turned his life around, and now he's one of the heads of one of the biggest corporations in the world.
Yeah, but I don't know which one, though. But I know you're right. It's something about Nike. It was in a book, and there was I had recently seen an article, but I didn't read the article because it looked like clickbait.
But except it was real. Yeah.
But yeah, so so with that being said, though, like Gary Vee, Snoop, Kevin Hart, The Rock, I mean, all these guys are great inspirational people to any kid, adult, any grown adult, any, senior. I mean, because you get to your 50s doesn't mean you can't redo something in your life or relive your life or retry something or do something you always wanted to do. So I think that, like, would you rather wallow in your pity and follow, just Fox News and CNN and be mad all day? Or would you rather follow someone who's positive and be like, well, you know what? Maybe I've always wanted to take up, basket weaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then become a bomb basket weaver in 10 years. And then you have potentially 30 more years before you hit 100.
100%. So the guy's name, the Nike guy, Larry Miller.
Okay.
Former president and current chairman of the Nike Jordan brand. So he worked right alongside Michael Jordan in developing the whole Nike Jordan brand. He was convicted of shooting and killing 18-year-old Edward White when he was 16. He's now 72, so he pleaded guilty back then, spent 4.5 years in prison, and in his book, he talks about how grateful he is to the family of the man that he killed for forgiving him, and that's how he was able to turn his life around.
Yeah. I honestly will say forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness and love are two of the biggest things that have turned my life around. And a lot of that's because of you. Not any website or account or someone else's website. But it truly is that. And I think that that's what a lot of these people have had in their lives happen is forgiveness, love, and work ethic. I mean, that's the other. I mean, there is multiple things to it, but I think someone like Gary Vee has been shown love his whole life through his family and stuff. And so when he would try stuff, his work ethic would speak through that love and into all that, and then he would do awesome work. And then someone like Snoop, he has love in his heart, even though he might have been a crip or whatever, or he might have been a really bad person for a while, but he's turned it around, obviously, and he has a family, and he wants his family to be positive. And I mean, it just speaks volumes. So that's why those two for sure on the list. But look at the Kevin Harts of the world and all those other guys too.
Yeah. Last one.
Okay, last one.
Good news _movement. Love that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great one.
That one is where I think was the first one that I stumbled on, maybe through Gary V. And it was instantly, I was like, okay.
And it's global inspirational stories of people helping people helping animals, anything.
Everything.
Just, it is something across the board, positive. That's why it's good news.
Oh my gosh. Their whole motto is, don't even come on here and even try to
no
bring
negativity,
us down.
no nothing.
Don't even try. Don't write a hateful thing. Don't, because if you do.
No bad comments. It's just, we're putting this out there to bring a smile to people's face. We'll let you know that there is goodness in the world, because a lot of times it seems like there is only evil. Yeah.
And the thing about that attitude too, going in, is they're not even going to argue with you. They're just going to remove it.
Right.
They don't even have time to hear your comment on why you think that person doesn't do whatever, or that animal shouldn't whatever, or whatever your dumb comment is going to be. They just shut it down. And I think they had even posted about it one time, someone had tried to DM them something just so hateful, and you're just like, how can you how can you even go on to this site, watch an inspirational video, and then be like, this is dumb? Yeah. Don't watch it then.
Yeah, that's fine. You can have your opinion, but you don't have to bring other people down by sharing it.
It's so crazy to me that people write stuff that is just hateful. You're like, so you, in your day, found it more useful to waste 10 to 30 seconds of your time and my time to just tell me you don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Appreciate it.
I mean,
I'm not going to remove it because you don't like it.
Now, I get that you don't like it, but I think that there's a way to go about it where it's not malicious. Yeah. Someone wrote a comment the other day on something that I had posted, and it was as simple as oh, I didn't think that this is what this was going to be, or something like that. And I was like, it wasn't mean. It wasn't your stuff is dumb or anything like that. It just was okay, well, maybe he was giving me a hint hey, maybe you should have titled it differently. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So I just gave him the heart back. Yeah. Thanks for your time. But yeah, the good news movement is to me probably my favorite.
Yeah, and I love
Instagram account that I can just go on, smile, watch it, and just be like, oh, these are so good.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's a great reminder, too, of how good you have it compared to somebody else.
Yeah, because they post some stuff from around the world that's just heartbreaking.
And it's just, oh my gosh, you look at it, and these people who are living in such a horrible area or an impoverished area, or, we live in a small house. But if they came and saw our house,
be a mansion.
It would be like a mansion. I mean, these people who have nothing and yet are so positive and kind and caring and loving to everybody around them. It's just such a great reminder of how blessed you are and how you really should take the gifts you've been given to help others. Yeah.
I think a lot of the people that we deal with in our day-to-day life do that. I mean, and I think that that's what makes them our friends, and I think that that's what makes us love them so much, because every time I turn around, I hear one of our friends telling a story about how they pulled over and helped someone change a tire, or took the time to help Neil, I always talk to him, and he's always doing favors. Though a lot of it is work too, but he's one of those guys where I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I came over to help a friend change this. And I was like, even though he might not want to do that day, it's still something that, that's just something nice. And he's such a handy person, where I think that that's the coolest part, is so many of our friends are just handy at different things that oh yeah, I just went and helped this person, reload this because they couldn't figure it out. Or, I don't know. I just am always inspired by others to continue this path that I've recently found. I mean, I've been positive in my life, but also been very negative.
Yeah. You were a bit of a negative Nancy there for a while.
It was easy to be negative.
For sure.
It is so easy to be negative. It's so easy.
A lot harder to find the silver lining.
Oh my gosh. It's like, it is incredibly easy for me to flip my switch and go into a negative mode because then everybody around you also gives you sympathy.
Yeah. That's
like,
true.
oh,
the attention thing.
Oh, did you hurt your... Poor you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, give me more of that. Yeah, I want to eat this up.
Just eats you up inside, though.
It does. And I think that, this week was a good reminder of going in an upward trajectory and then having something crash your world. Goose is by no means a bad crash, but he crashed our world.
Yeah.
And he came in and he disrupted everything. The cats were upset. Just the whole house had a different vibe. And it wasn't because he's a bad dog. It's just because he came in.
He's a puppy who doesn't know what's going on.
And he, came in, flipped a table, and said, "I'm here."
Yeah.
and we were like, "Oh gosh, this wasn't. You were quiet like 10 minutes ago."
Yep.
But that right there reminded me, like, hey, like, life isn't always easy. Like, calm yourself down. Go take a deep breath. Go watch the Good News Movement. Go look at the happy dog. Go listen to a Gary V. Go watch SnoopDogg, hit a joint and, create some funny track in a studio with like 10 other guys. And okay, cool. Now I'm in a better mood. And I think that's why, to me, giving our listeners this little podcast was fun, because I like those things. I like to talk about things I like too.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, as much as I want to talk about how bad of a person I can be as well, like, it doesn't do us any good.
No, definitely not.
Well, so we had Snoop.
Yeah, we had SnoopDogg, the Dodo, Good News Dog, Gary V. With it's GARYVEE.
Yeah.
And then Good News _movement. And we will include those in the notes on the YouTube.
Yeah, I'll definitely include those. Well, this is
good stuff.
Well, when so many people spend so much time online nowadays, it's important to remember that can become your reality. Even though it isn't reality. But it is a reality. Warp your reality. But it is a reality. And that's the weirdest part, I think, about all this online stuff. And I think that, speaking of the NFT earlier, guys like Gary V and guys like Snoop, who have been through so much in life, as they build these places, hopefully they keep this positivity in mind.
I'm sure they will.
And I think that they will. And I think that's why having them be on the front running of stuff like this is helpful to generations. Because if you're only looking at it in a monetary way, it's just going to turn into a beast and create havoc.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in the monetary way, well, let's give people a place to go and enjoy, then you'll have people like Snoop creating places where he'll probably have like a SnoopDogg lounge where you can go in and order a gummy and listen to his tracks,
I would totally be down. Sounds awesome.
I think that's where the metaverse will be fun for people is you have a long day at work. Not all of us are able to come to a backyard like this.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have to go and leave their office, get into a car for an hour, go to a tiny cramped apartment somewhere, or commute on a train.
Yeah.
What a better place than to pop in your headphones, get on your phone, go to the metaverse and listen to a SnoopDogg show while chatting with someone online.
Yeah.
As even though you still might be living in reality, like riding on a subway isn't the best reality at all times.
For sure.
So
that's very true.
So hopefully these guys are creating places that give people a little escape. So I think that looking forward to that in the future.
Definitely.
And I definitely think these are places that even young kids could follow.
Yeah.
Maybe not Snoop. Give it a minute.
Yeah, they could.
Teenagers for Snoop.
Yeah.
Everything else, well, Gary V does drop the F-bomb.
He does, yes. Yes.
Maybe teenagers for
maybe so. Maybe so.
All right. Well, how are your goals going?
I need to restart them.
All right.
But some of them are good. Some of them I just need to kick back into gear.
Just retouching since we brought him up at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, I'm close to some of my goals, but still so far away. I hurt my back the other day, and so my toe touching has been put on
pause.
Well, I tried the other day. I stretched, and it was still really, really tight, and I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hurt myself, so I was
That's
like, you know what?
That's why they're goals.
That is why they're goals.
That is why.
All right. Well, we thank everybody always for tuning in to your midweek treats. We'd like to thank our sponsors, BetterHelp. We'd like to thank Level Up Roofing. Well, BetterHelp, they're there for your mental health.
Yes.
If you're anywhere in the world, you can access them online or via phone call.
Yep.
Text message. Level Up Roofing, if you're in Houston, they do great stuff if you have storm damage or even if you want to redo your bathroom.
Yep.
Give them a shout. Tell them PK sent you. I don't think you get a discount. We don't have a discount with them, but they do amazing work.
Yes, they're awesome.
And then Inked Vanity Clothing. They're our friends down in Florida, and they rock. And
Earthworks microphones.
Earthworks microphones. These things sound great.
They do. I love them.
I'm loving them.
It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. We have a big thing happening in like 2 weeks, and I can't wait to talk about that on the show in a couple weeks.
It'll be awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Wait. Whoa. We have one more sponsor. Peterson Barbecue.
Oh, and Peterson Barbecue.
All right.
Okay. Now, thanks. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Cheers.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.